up, y'all? Welcome back once again. If you don't know, I am Jackie.
And I'm Shani.
And you are tuning into
the Mocha Message.
Yeah. But no, we really appreciate y'all tuning in again for, looking at all that we have put up to date.
Yes.
And in our first episode, like after our long hiatus, we were talking about like how life can just get at you and sometimes it'd be overwhelming, sometimes it's stressful, sometimes your mental health is, I think the verbiage that I used was like my mental was in the gutter. Like it was in the gutter.
It is what it is.
Which is why I'm super excited to get into our episode today because it's all about therapy.
Yes.
In that first episode, both of us talked about how big of like a role that our therapist and our therapy journey has played in getting us on the right track, getting us back to being in a creative space, being healthy all the way around, from top to bottom. So yeah, let's get into it.
Let's dive in, man. So if you've ever signed up for therapy, you always have to do like the intake form. They kind of ask you questions about yourself, your life. One of the things that's constant on each and every intake form is why. Why did you seek out therapy? What was kind of your reasoning behind it? So what was like the point in your life where you realize, all right, this is my why. This is time for me to just buckle down.
I can point back to the very specific, it was my birthday. I woke up. I looked at my calendar for work. I was like, it's my birthday. Maybe I can like leave early. Maybe I can come in late. I pull up my calendar. I have meetings scheduled in the morning. I'm like, okay, so maybe I'll just like come in late or whatever. I pull up my calendar. Like it's booked. And I was like, I left no room for myself on and I broke down in tears.
No.
It seemed like such a tiny thing because I'm not like a big birthday shout it from the rooftops, 5 cakes, 3 parties kind of person anyway. But I was like, Jay, how did you get to your birthday and have no time for yourself? Like at all.
Right.
And it was at that point where I was like, yeah, I need therapy. I need to, because my birthday's in February. And I had been like looking around at therapists and stuff like that since July. But I kept reaching a point where I'm like, it would be like up and down. I'd be like, I'm not okay right now. And then things would get better. And I'd be like, oh, I'm good. Like, I don't need a therapist. Then something would happen. And then it'd go up. And I'd be like, I'm good. I don't need it. At that point, I was like, girl, call. Like, call, email, put out like an inquiry, something. Because you need something. Like, to wake up in tears on your birthday. And it was like, it was more than just about the birthday. It was like, dang, I have yesed myself into exhaustion. Like, I've raised my hand. Yeah, I can be there. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can show up. Yeah. I can take that off your plate. Yeah, I'll cover your shift. Like, and I said, this got to stop.
Yes. Yeah. Man, that's really powerful.
It was wild.
I can say for me, it was kind of a combination of things. Like work had definitely it was just like beat me up. Like, emotionally, I just was overworked, definitely understaffed. It was really, really stressful. And I want to say, actually, it's funny because we were just talking about Insecure. I want to say I was rewatching Insecure as I normally do.
Yes.
And, one of Molly's big storylines is her like therapy journey and how she literally at first got offended that like Issa said, it may be a good idea. Like wasn't even just telling her like, oh, you crazy or anything like that. Like just suggested it, but she got offended. I guess that was probably like the first season. And then to go, to the last season to where you could see just the benefits of it. Yeah. And I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what, man, there are some, past traumas or situations and stuff that I feel like I'm carrying around. Yeah. And I would like to be like season 5 Molly. Yeah. Where, like you can just tell there's a level of growth there. You can tell that she has done her work, her homework from her therapy sessions. She has, you know, talked things out and processed it. So it was kind of like a whole bunch of stuff. But I really was just looking at that and I'm like, you know what? Let me start, because it's never too late to start. And it's kind of like I looked at it like working out. Like, it's always just the first step is the first step to so much greatness. I'm like, just take that first step.
Yeah.
So that was kind of mine, but
okay. So with that, you know how you said like you were kind of just wondering like, I don't know, like, and then you know you finally reached the point where you're like, okay, I'm ready for growth. I'm ready to be fully healthy, like mind, body, spirit, all of that. I'm wondering if like any stigmas that may be out there related, especially when it comes to Black folks and mental health and therapy, and don't put your business out there. Like everybody don't need to know everything kind of a thing. Like, do you feel like any of the stigmas is what prevented you from jumping right into therapy? Or like starting any, you know, sooner or later than you wanted to, or anticipated? Like, do you think any of that played a role into your therapy journey and when you decided to start?
Yeah, I would honestly say, I don't know. It wasn't necessarily the stigma of like therapy is bad, because I never really followed that stigma. Like, even if I've never, you know, had been in therapy before, I've always just encouraged and like clapped for people, especially our people who go to therapy. Right. But definitely I can say that like kind of the, how do I describe it? It's kind of like the culture of how I grew up, like that oldest girl culture. Like, I had always just been so used to kind of fixing things on my own. I think that I probably could have and should have started a lot earlier, but it was just like, that's how I grew up. Like, I just grew up being kind of the really responsible one. You know, I'm helping everybody else kind of with their issues. I deal with my stuff later or after that. Like, all that stuff kind of balled up into, I think, why I waited until kind of my late 20s. I think money was an issue as well. Oh, for sure. Honestly, cost like, is a factor. Yeah, like financially, you know, and there's programs out there to help with that, but that takes research, that takes time, that takes, you know, kind of luck, like if you get chosen for that. So definitely, like, I wanted to make sure that I was in a space to consistently do it, not just, oh, I have a certain amount of money to do it for a couple months and then I got to stop. Right. So I think a little bit of that. But honestly, like, I've never felt ashamed to say like I'm in therapy or anything like that. Like, I love being like, yeah, girl, my therapist told me to take a little self-care day today.
My therapist said people to death. I'm like, my therapist told me, my therapist said, my therapist, like. Yes. So I don't know. I never fell into that stigma, even though it's a really big thing, like in our culture, where you're right. Like, people say, you know, you shouldn't be telling your business to everybody. And, you know, if you go to therapy, that really means that you got something something is wrong. Like, no, everybody has their own specific things that they need to work through. And most people just aren't equipped with that knowledge and those strategies to do that on their own. Right. So that's where you need that like third party. Exactly. So yeah. What about you? Did you have any? Not really. I think because for like when I went through undergrad, it was like in education. And then when I went to grad school, it was an extension of education. It was like a counseling program. Right. And there was always you know, messages and things like that from like professors, advisors, like the helper always needs a helper. Yeah. Like, yeah. You know, we're in a helping field, we're in a counseling field, but you yourself should, like, they always push that. So that kind of helped remove the stigma for me. That's good. I think where I got caught up is kind of like what I was explaining before, like that up and down, like, oh, okay, everything's fine. I'm straight. No, you never know when something's going to come up that completely throws you off track. Or like, even just removing the stigma, I think there was an underlying stigma for me where it's like, oh, I'm fine. So I'm good.
Yeah.
But like we get preventative care for anything else. Like
that's very
we'll
true.
go to the doctors and get a checkup if nothing's wrong, like all of that kind of stuff. So I kind of had to adopt that mindset when it came to therapy. And similar to you, like growing up with folks who are like, you think, like when I had shared with a couple people, they were like, oh, are you okay? Like, you think you're gonna harm yourself? Like you feel like harming someone else? Like, I'm like, no, like I'm just going because I want to just, address some of, like you said, these past traumas and make sure I'm as healthy and thriving, like as I absolutely can be.
It's a well-rounded thing. Like I love when you mention kind of like the preventative care, like physically.
Right.
We do that. We do that. We go to, the gynecologist every year. We get these pap smears. We check for cancer in certain areas. Like, why don't we do that for our mental health as well? So that's a really good point. Exactly.
Like you don't got to wait until something is like detrimental or whatever for, you to be in therapy.
Yeah.
I know like one thing, I might be jumping ahead, but one thing my therapist shares is like, if you come to the session and great things are happening in your life, like share that.
Yeah.
Like this space is just a space for you. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be like do or die or you're hanging on by a thread or whatever. Like
that's facts. That's facts. And honestly, timing wise too, like mental health is so like, it just affects everything else. So if you wait until you get to that point where it's like a level, like critical alert, level red type thing, that could manifest itself in so many other ways. Like you can have hypertension, like people have strokes randomly. People have like, I don't know what they call them, like
aneurysms.
Yeah. I was about to say like all of that stuff can also be put on by like a lot of stress or a lot of like mental things that necessarily haven't been dealt with. And so when you're right here, it's a little, bothersome, but it's not too bad. But you don't want it to get to the edge where it is that bad.
Right.
And you can't really go back from it. So
exactly.
Child.
Man.
So did you actually vet your therapist?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's get into a little bit of
what initially planted, like I told y'all, like I had my big breakdown in February. That's when I was like, girl, you gotta send an email, call something.
Yeah.
But I have been like lightly searching for a therapist, and it all started July 2020. We know what was happening then. I was around a bunch of white folks who just wasn't understanding what I was going through with the civil unrest and the turmoil that was happening in the country. And at that time, I was like, I need my therapist to be, I preferred a Black woman. But I was open to a woman of color. I didn't want to talk to no man, and I didn't want to talk to no white folks. Like, that's just being honest, because it was what I was going through at the time. I was like, I want someone who can relate on some sort of level. I don't want to be explaining myself and giving backstories in my therapy session. At the time, it was like the height of the pandemic. So someone who was open to, meeting virtually. Yeah, that was pretty much my criteria. And I had went through like a couple different people just to see like who was a good fit, who felt like someone I could feel comfortable with, feel welcomed with. So I had went through a couple different therapists and just like seeing what their intake process was like. Them getting to know me as much as me also getting to know them, and like, what theories and like philosophies and stuff that they carry and hold. So yeah, I definitely went through like a process of trying to find like the right fit.
Yeah. And that's important. It's not like a candle where, you can buy like I feel like candles are a present you can get anybody.
Oh yeah. That's
not, like this is something that you really need to make sure that is right for you and vice versa. Like this isn't just a one size fit all. Not every therapist, just because they're good, not every therapist is going to be right for every single person.
Right.
So that's very true. Yeah. I'll say I had pretty much the same. Like I wanted to talk to a Black woman, honestly. Like you said, I didn't want to deal with explaining why I felt a certain way or like reacted to certain things that like just we understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's just certain things where you have those shared experiences coming through life as a Black woman that other people wouldn't understand.
Right.
So I was pretty much set on that. I really didn't care too much about age.
Okay.
But similar to you, yeah, I definitely like I dated my therapist. Like I had probably like 3 or 4 at one time that I started out with that I really liked. And most therapists, I think have kind of like these free sessions of like consultations and stuff like that. So yeah, I was doing like consultations and just kind of seeing, you know, how they interact, how I interact with them. From there, I had like narrowed it down to 2 that I really liked.
Okay.
And I actually, again, this is, I was just in a good financial situation because it's not for everybody, but I was paying both of them. Like, and I was going to both of those therapists at one time. And then I ended up like figuring out, okay, I think I'm kind of finished with this one particular lady, and the other one is the one that I still currently have right now. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's really all about like finding, you know, what your goals are. So you need to have somebody who has those same, you know, like strategies that you feel very confident that you can reach those goals. Yeah. So, and you're not going to get that just by looking at like their website. No. Like you have to have that conversation. Right. Whether it's in person or virtual. I'm a virtual girl. Like, because I do it, you know, I've done therapy sessions outside, like at the park. Too. Yeah, like the coffee shop, you know, where nobody on the little outside patio, nobody can really hear. I'm not disturbing anybody. But yeah, I was a virtual girl as well. So yeah. It's
definitely like an extensive process that I don't think anyone should take lightly. Because like it's your life, it's your health at the end of the day. Like, so it takes a while. Yeah. It takes a while. It's definitely an investment in time. Definitely. And resources. So
heck yeah, you're gonna be paying them. So don't be going to just to nobody going to nobody you're not really feeling. Like if you're not really feeling it, it's no hard feelings. Cut it off. Like just I will, you know, this be our last session. Appreciate all that you've done.
Yeah, to date.
Keep it pushing.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of therapists will tell you that. I know mine did. Like she does like check-ins. Like, so how do you feel? Like, how do you feel about the conversation we had today? Did it go in the direction that you wanted it to or whatnot? And she told me straight up, like, if you feel like this isn't a good fit, like it's okay. We can, you know, finish out the therapy relationship. And I'll even refer you to like other people within the network. Really good. That's and really stuff good. Like that, which is really dope. With that, you know, after you finally narrow it down and you find the person that, you know, you want to continue this journey with, this helping relationship, and you get into your sessions, like, are there ways that you prepare for your sessions? Like, what does that process look like? I know, me too.
So, it's funny because there's some that I do and there's some actually that my therapist has implemented that's been really cool. Okay. So for me, I always I talk a lot, which in therapy, you ain't got no choice but to talk a lot. So I make sure I got like some water, like, a lot of times I kind of do morning or like not super morning, but like 10, 11 a.m. sessions. So I'll just have like a, you know, mug of tea kind of sitting down. I don't like to be hungry. I am a hangry girl. So yeah, for the most part, I try to make sure I got a little something on my stomach or whatever. I have my notebook, you know, kind of just in a quiet area where it's not really too many distractions. Yeah. And then I'd say probably like the 10 minutes or so before the session starts, like I just start to get into therapy mode. Like, okay, so let's look at my notebook. Did I complete my homework from last session? Like, what did I learn from that? What do I want to first talk about? Or if there's anything that kind of happened in real life, like I'll just get all that together. Yeah. And then my therapist actually, which is really cool, and she asks everybody if they want to do this, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but she will burn sage for you, like even virtually, and we do breathing exercises before every single thing. So like every single session, we start out with some sage and we do some breathing exercises. She always asks like if I'm in a, you know, space where I can talk freely and all that, which I really appreciate as well. And then we get straight to it, and I'm usually ready to go. So it's nice because you got to get into that mode. And I mean, honestly, like the world is pretty noisy, like with social media and like the fact that you can just get on your phone and always be
connected.
Yeah. Like, so it's good to kind of have, you know, that 10 minutes before to kind of get myself together. Then you have your therapy session. And then from there, you know, you can kind of get back into all the noise of the world.
Right.
So that's mine. What about yours though?
My process is pretty similar to yours. Like a good 15 minutes, I cut off like all activity. I'll put my phone on like do not disturb or whatever. Cause I just need those 15 minutes before to like make sure I'm not busy, frantic, hectic. You know, I want to be prepared. Y'all know I love to write, so I always have my notebook and my pen. It's funny because when she be dropping them gems, I be like,
I be like, hold on.
And she be like, let me give you a minute. I see, or a couple times like the Wi-Fi wasn't working, or something weird, and she would ask if it was okay if we could do it over phone, and I'd be
that
like,
happened to me too.
Yeah,
it's appreciated.
She was like, I hear your pen on the. She's like, I must be dropping some gems, girl, because I hear your pen hitting the page.
Yes.
But yeah, I usually have like a drink of water nearby. That's pretty much it. Like I also sometimes I think about where I want to go for that day. Not always though, but if there's something pressing, like I'm like, I want to jump right into this. A lot of times she'll start off and say like, you know, what do we want to discuss today? She'll recap like our last session, what has gone on, but she'll be like, do you want to continue with this or do you want to go somewhere else? Because she always highlights like, you are the expert on your life. Like, I'm just here to help. You know what's going on. You know what's most pressing. You know what it is that you want to discuss. If you want to discuss like joyous things, great things that are happening, a space to celebrate, that's good. If something, you know, pressing or weighing on you, we can discuss that. But yeah, I pretty much have water, notebook, and pen. Make sure the Wi-Fi is working. If it's not, also that 15 minutes is like, hey, my Wi-Fi ain't working.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Do you mind if we meet over phone or whatever like that? Which is really cool. But I really just be needing those 15 minutes. I'll be on a phone call with somebody and I'm like, all right, I gotta go.
Honestly.
I gotta go because I gotta go. So, and I'll hang up and it'd just be that I need those 10, 15 minutes before my session starts. Yeah. That's to get in the right mind frame. And to take it way back, like what I did to prepare for my very first session was kind of thought about like that why. And like those goals that I wanted to form. Like I know I wanted to like learn how to relax more. I wanted to learn how to say no more and just no and not give an explanation. Wanted to know how to like use my voice and be bolder to challenge limiting beliefs. So like those are kind of things that I jotted down before like the very first session.
No, that's really good. That's really good. No, that's really cool to think about, you know, especially when you think about just the preparation that kind of goes into it, because you're right. Like it's really all up to you to reach those goals specifically. Like they're there to help you. But if you don't have a mindset of kind of where you want it to go, it's really hard for them to like reel in on something that's important to, you know, talk about or discuss.
Right.
So, I mean, I take my stuff very seriously. It's funny because even when I was in London and I forgot that I had a session scheduled that week, and I was like, I'm gonna have to be in the Airbnb for like an hour.
Like you gotta tell folks sometimes.
Look, I appreciate all this travel and stuff like that, but I got my session. And I told her, I'm like, I'm on vacation right now, but you know,
I gotta talk to you.
Yes, it's like working out. Like the games don't stop. Like they don't sleep. Like these game sessions don't sleep. So I really think that it's cool to see some of the like results that have happened as of now. And you know, you're never going to reach like this full perfect self. Right. But there's always room for improvement. And it's always really cool to kind of see like some of the results of your therapy. The results of your hard work. Yes. So like, what are some of the like I guess, either practices that you have from your sessions that you kind of implement, things that maybe you think of kind of during your daily life now? Like, what are some of the things that you can like tangibly see? Like, oh yeah, that's because I went to therapy.
Right. I remember one of my earlier sessions, my therapist was telling me like, don't be afraid to like rock the boat. And it's because like, I'm very like even keeled, very like laid back, very, go with the flow. I'll adjust all the time. I'm a middle child. So I was trying to compromise with the oldest and the youngest ones. All that kind of a thing, just sacrificing all the time. But a lot of what was underneath the surface of that was me neglecting my own needs, me like minimizing and diminishing my voice and things like that. And she's like, man, you can't be afraid to rock the boat. And now she be like, you be tipping that job over.
I love it.
She like, you be flipping the boat now, like based off of what you shared. And I think one really good example was in our very first episode, I was sharing how I wanted to write that Jasmine Sullivan article, but I was like, dang, I just got here. Like, I don't want to step on toes. Like, like you're the new guy. Like, don't. But then I was like, give yourself permission to rock the boat. If they have an issue with it, they will tell you they have an issue with it. You know what I mean? Like, let other people tell you no. Like, don't try to predict like, oh, this might upset someone, therefore I won't. Meanwhile, you could have, and it would have been fine the whole time. So that's one of the things. It's like permission to rock the boat. Yeah. We spoke about the roadblocks in the first one.
I be using that, and I wasn't even in your session. I literally be using that now.
Yeah, it's just like I really be thinking like, Jay, is this an excuse? When I hear the words like I can't, or I don't know, I challenge myself now and I'm like, well, why can't you? Is it something that's like impeding you? Like you literally don't have the money, you don't have the time, you don't X, Y, and Z? Or is it you saying that you can't?
Right.
Like, are you putting a roadblock down?
Yeah.
Are you preventing yourself from moving on, from opening the door, from flourishing to try something new? So definitely like those are two strategies that I carry with me to this day. You got permission to rock the boat and don't be putting the roadblocks down now.
Period. I love it. I think for me, and one of the things that I love about my therapist is that she really do be calling me out. Like, in the way that I need, like I need to be called out, when there's something I need to be called out on. So I remember one session, she was just like, have you ever noticed that like you never really give a direct answer to these questions that I ask you? Like you just be going all around the way. And we had to unpack that. And once I unpacked that, I really started to notice that in my regular life. And I would literally stop myself and be like, let me just answer your question, like straight up, because I'm, for whatever reason, I'm coming all around. I'm taking detours and stuff like that. Let me just answer the question. Yeah, like whether it's something that, maybe it's a hard conversation. Maybe I'm a little, hesitant on how you'll receive it. But at the end of the day, like, I need to be more direct with, my communication. So I've noticed that, it's just in my head, like I see that now and I hear her voice like telling me that. And, it's really invaluable. Like we laugh about it now because she'd be like, I think I told her, I was like, yeah, you be calling me out from like the first session and I need that. So, keep on doing that. Like do not stop. But
exactly,
man, it's just really cool to kind of see the results. Like, again, you're never going to just reach that point where you're like, I don't need any more help in anything in life at all. But it's cool to see, like, I remember when I used to be like this and now, because of, my therapy sessions and kind of my own personal work that I've been doing, I'm a, very much more healed version of myself, a more growth-minded version of myself. So it's just really cool to see.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Yeah, they're like at the end of each session, my therapist has me like point out like, what did you get from this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why are we doing all this? She doesn't say why we doing all this, but she's like, for in lesser words, like, what I want to know that you got something from this, you know? And sometimes it'd just be like, it just felt really good to be able to share in a safe space, you know, with no judgment. It's a space of my own. And other times it'd be gems that were dropped.
Come on.
Things that I write down in sticky notes, notes in my phone, like things I share with people, like the whole roadblock thing I shared with you. And also like accountability, sharing also gives room for accountability. I just thought. Yeah. But all of that stuff, man.
Well, for this episode's Mocha message, we actually thought it'd be really cool to give you guys some advice on, you know, maybe if you're on the fence about therapy, you know, just giving you guys some advice and some encouragement on maybe starting it. And keep in mind, this applies to individual, you know, child therapy, trauma, couples, familial, like all of that stuff. So we just really want to give you guys some encouragement for, you know, just making a better self for yourself. So, I think for me, it's just know that like, or this is how I looked at it. I'm like, there's so much like trauma and negativity that is, you have no choice but kind of to absorb it because the world is just really heavy, right?
Man.
And like, that's so much to carry around. Like, I don't know why I always kind of make the analogy of therapy with like working out, but I felt like it was like an extra like 10 pounds that I was just carrying around constantly. And the way that it was coming out was through, you know, my reactions to certain situations, my mental health, some of my relationships as well. So just, you know, it's really a great feeling to kind of free yourself from those extra 10 pounds. And therapy is a really good way to help out with that. It's something that, you know, when you find that person that's really good for you, it's a safe space. So you feel comfortable. You build a trust with that person, a relationship with that person. And overall, like you come out of your sessions, maybe not every session, because it is kind of work.
Sometimes I would be salty. Like.
But you come out of it overall feeling so much lighter. And I just encourage everybody to kind of get rid of that dead weight, whether that comes from, you know, past situations, whether that comes from just living in this crazy world that has, you know, so much negativity in every headline or whatever it may be. Like, I just really encourage you to like become a better, more like happier version of yourself, somebody that's more secure in their own self. And it's definitely something that is, I think, attainable. Definitely consider all of your, you know, any roadblocks that may happen as far as financial stuff, as far as time, but overall, like really, really make time for yourself because nobody else is going to do that. Like, nobody else is going to make time for your mental health. Yeah. It's really up to you. Yeah. That's my advice.
I mean, mine is similar to yours. Like, when are you ever going to get a space specifically just and only for you? Yeah. Like a half hour, 45 minutes or an hour carved out of your day where it's literally all about you. And that was kind of some of my resistance too. Like I always make other things about other people. Right. I highlight them. I shine the spotlight on others and stuff like that. So it can feel a little uncomfortable or like you could face some resistance when it comes to like, oh gosh, this is really about to be about me. But like you deserve that. You know, you deserve that space. Like I said, in the beginning, like my therapist would be like, this is a space, like if good things are happening, share that. But yeah, if it's like a space where you want to celebrate things, you want to get things off your chest. Like sometimes we feel, you know, I'll be like, I don't want to like highlight all of my great things because I don't want to come up across like braggadocious or whatever type thing. But like it really is a space like specifically carved out for you and you only, whatever you want to bring, whatever you want to talk about, like the floor is really pretty much yours.
Yeah.
From start to finish. And I really think everybody deserves that.
Yes.
And sometimes you don't even realize how much until you're in it. Mm-hmm. So just like you said earlier, the hardest part of anything is just starting. Yes. Like, I encourage you, just like Google around, like look up some things, ask other people about their experiences who have been in therapy and stuff like that. Just taking that first step, like that first leap, you know? Definitely. So.
And we will actually post some of our resources that, you know, we may have used as well on our Instagram. So make sure you're following if you're not following it. But yeah, we really encourage all of you guys to be your best selves, mentally, physically, emotionally, all that good jazz.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, we can't wait to see. We can't wait to have another conversation with you guys. Can't wait to have another session because, you know, I feel like this is kind of therapy.
Yeah, it is.
So we can't wait to have another Mocha Message session with all of our Mocha Mavens. We always appreciate you guys. As always, make sure that you like, share, comment, tell a friend if they haven't heard about us to give us a listen, give us a watch. And as always, we'll catch you at the next episode.
All right. Till next time. Peace.